Good afternoon, everybody. We have an international audience and European audience. Good afternoon for those who are watching in the European time zone. Good evening and good morning for those in other time zones. My name is Andres Peñarchila. I'm the AI Innovation Hub Officer, and I will be moderating this plenary session, which focuses in digitalization and artificial intelligence innovation hubs within the Ulysseus Alliance. We will be exploring the opportunities for networking in the context of Horizon Europe and Erasmus Plus applications. We have 7 speakers, and we represent 3 different countries, France, Slovakia, and Finland. Our first speaker will be speaking about the concept of Ulysseus and the innovation hubs. His name is Sylvain Antoniotti, and he represents the University of Côte d'Azur in France. The floor is yours, Sylvain.
Thank you very much. And good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sylvain Antoniotti. I'm a research director at CNRS, and I'm also strategic director of the IDEX program at Université Côte d'Azur. And I serve as the Innovation Hub coordinator for aging and well-being, and also I'm in charge of the task of designing the Innovation Hub structure. So it's a pleasure to be here today for this fantastic event with more than 1,000 registered persons coming from dozens of different countries worldwide, of course, mostly from Europe. And actually, it would have been difficult to organize such a big event in real life. So this is maybe one of the positive aspects of having shifted significantly towards web-based meetings and way to interact together. So before going in the details of digitalization and artificial intelligence during this parallel session, I will give you a short overview of one of our joint structure, the Innovation Hub, and it will set the landscape for the coming talks during this session. So as a start, I will get back a little bit on some informations you have been maybe you have heard this morning during the presentation of our general coordinator Carmen Vargas, and then also from Siegfried Walsh during the session this morning, to remind you with the 5 key goals of the Ulysseus program and some important figures. So the key goals are to modernize our university, to contribute to the development of our regions and cities, and this is something very important we will be talking a lot about, to reduce the competence gap, to enhance the knowledge and practice of European values, and to promote an open-to-the-world model of university. So these are our 5 key goals, and everything is set and prepared to be able to serve these very important goals. A couple of figures. The first one, which is very important, because as you heard this morning, the future of Europe and the future of European universities is definitely in the hands of our students. And we have accumulated number of 1,063,000 or more students. We have more than 8,000 academics. We have more than 10,000 staff. We have around 90 faculties. We have more than 1,000 research groups. We have spin-offs. We have partnerships with companies up to 235. We have a large portfolio of patents from all the research group of the Alliance, more than 636 patents, and of course this number is still evolving as we are talking, and 54 research centers. And importantly, we should also mention we have more than 95 associated partners to this alliance. And these partners should be regional governments, city halls, companies, non-profit organizations, city associations, student association, business confederation, think tanks, research centers. So we have a wide and very diverse ecosystem that one of the goals of our innovation hubs will be to connect together. So to get back a little bit on what was also presented this morning, our innovation hub are six. We have 6 innovation hubs, one for each member of the alliance, of the Ulysseus Alliance. And the thematic orientation of these innovation hubs have been thought to take into account challenges that we will have to face in the coming future. And this challenge will be the motivation to actually organize research, training, and innovation within these structures. So innovation hubs will be the center of gravity of the co-creation process for these transdisciplinary education and research programs, and as well as the promotion of European values. So in addition to the existing structures of the Ulysseus partners, the hubs will count on joint research centers and incubators, living labs and open classes to bind together the community and to design and foster the engagement of citizens. Innovation Hub will be devoted to develop solutions for these 6 specific and transversal research and development regional and local challenges to turn ideas into reality. So the 6 selected challenges are priority topics in most of the regions and cities' strategic plans of the Alliance, but also fit quite well with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, the European Green Deal, and Horizon Europe missions and clusters. To go a little bit more into the detail, we have these 6 thematic innovation hubs that we will detail a little bit more in the next slide. And the key goals of these innovation hubs are to boost Ulysseus ecosystem, to contribute to the local development, and to make society benefit more efficiently, more directly, and more quickly from the progress of knowledge within the innovation hubs. And to do that, we will generate a new joint academic offer that will be challenge and research-driven, tackling transdisciplinary and transsectorial aspects of these challenges, and organizing a fast transfer of the knowledge and the technologies to the society, whether to the company or to the citizen themselves. We have a large set of tools to address these goals, and we will be also relying on the development of the digital platform that will be the support of these activities. The thematic areas of the Innovation Hub, which are also based on strong expertise of each member, are as follows. We have the digitalization at the Technical University of Košice. We have the artificial intelligence in Agahelia in Finland, and those 2 very important thematic areas will be addressed in the session of this afternoon together. We have the food, biotechnology, and circular economy at the MCI. We have tourism, arts, and heritage at the University of Genova, energy, transport, mobility, and smart cities at the University of Sevilla, and we have aging and well-being at Université Côte d'Azur here. One of the important ideas we have been developing a little bit this morning and is this connection of innovation ecosystems. So one of the common point, and I should say one of the common value of each member of Ulysseus is a strong commitment to serve locally his ecosystem. And the idea is with these innovation hubs to go beyond conventional bilateral collaboration between academics and to actually connect ecosystems and to make our partner benefits to the partner of all the members of Ulysseus Alliance. And to support these interactions that will be as numerous as possible, we will rely on our digital platform, which is one of the very important joint structure we are setting up at the moment. We will also use the Match for COP application that will be designed to make that type of interaction easy and across the distance. And the idea will be to also increase the capacity to interact even without physically traveling. You know, Ulysseus was born during the COVID pandemic and has applied from its beginning remote working modalities and without barrier. And the future of mobility is not just about traveling physically, but definitely designing a new way to collaborate and interact on this type of platform. We are currently building, designing, co-designing the generic structure of what should be an innovation hub. Those will be built through the inputs of all the members of the Alliance, taking into account their experience and their success. And so the process is to start by a kind of modelization of an architecture that should be ready to use for each innovation hub, to co-design the specifications. And for that, we have a task force, which is composed of members of the Alliance and also partners, to use some tools to be able to share that type of structure and to support members in the adoption of the model to fit and to adapt specifically to their needs and to their ecosystem. The type of working document we have at the moment is such. So we have very large branch that will describe actions, structures, and tools to be used in the Innovation Hub. So we have, of course, the core activities that would be designed towards education, research, and innovation. We have tools that will allow us to actually serve these core activities. We have structures that will come in a second phase, such as the incubators and the research centers and the living labs. And then we have back office services, support services, and steering structures. And then we have also to consider the balance between having local and distributed chains of decision and versus centralized models for that. And we will apply the principle of subsidiarity to ensure that we have the shorter chains of decision possible and the necessary agility for that. So this was a short overview of what should be the Innovation Hub we are building, and thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present that work, and I look forward to listening to the next talks on these topics. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sylvain, for your introduction to the innovation hubs and the concept in general. We need to follow to the next speaker who will explain a little bit more about the innovation hub in digitalization at the Technical University of Košice. Is my co-worker. He is Viliam Fedák, another innovation hub officer in Slovakia. The floor is yours, Viliam.
Thank you very much. Dear participants, friends, colleagues, digital and physical ones, My name is Viliam Fedák, and I am the officer for the Innovation Hub Digitalization at the Technical University of Košice in Slovakia. In my presentation, I would like to introduce our hub, show what digitalization means for us, and how we want this hub to design and operate. The last but not the least, I want to present you our best practice from digitalization project, which we are eager to share within the Ulysseus Alliance. We are very happy that we have this joint session together with colleagues from Headai Ltd and the Innovation Hub Artificial Intelligence, while we see digitalization and AI as two closely interlinked domains. We are fully aware that digital technologies are becoming a phenomenon for modern world. They are touching and influencing every bit of our society and lives. Europe sees a big potential in them, while they might become our competitive strength in further development and a tool for us to build a sustainable future for our kids. Through our hub, we want to help carving digital Europe and getting the maximized benefit for not only digital education, but for digital economy as a whole. When we speak about a digital innovation hub, we really like to use a fancy word one-stop shop, which for us means that you have everything you need in one place in order to go for digital transformation. Innovation Hub Digitalization has ambition to be a strong and crucial point in the process of digital transformation for companies and institutions, not only in our region of Slovakia, but in the whole Ulysseus Alliance. Let's have a closer look in our domain, digitalization. Digital technologies have been blending with our lives and work slowly but surely over the past few decades. Since the beginning of the digital era, companies, institutions, and people have wanted to change as much information as possible from analog or physical form to digital one. With the growing extent of digital information, a strong need for the efficient organization and categorization has risen. This all created a solid ground for further using digital technologies and information to transform operation of any institution. We start to look at internal and external processes, tune and power them with digital technologies, and design them to be as streamlined as possible. All of these keeps getting us closer to the third evolutionary step, digital transformation, which we see as down-to-the-ground reshape of the whole institution, company or university or city hall or whatever it is. Transformation comes not only with the technological aspect, but requires change and adaptation for its people. It really opens possibilities for new and unconventional models for education and operation as well. It changes strategic directions, values, and culture within institutions. As any transformational process, it is critical to check where we are now and decide where we want to get. These are the dimensions in which our Innovation Hub wants to work and provides its activities. The scope of our Innovation Hub is efficient application of digital transformation in industry and public sector. Together with colleagues from Innovation Hub Artificial Intelligence in Headai Ltd, we want to focus on continuous improvement and open innovation of industrial process and public services through using of digital technologies. This will be our contribution to sustainable energy, transport, health, and tourism, which creates a strong link with other innovation hubs in the Ulysseus Alliance. When we look closer on our innovative ecosystem, we are proud to say that we aspire to be its center. Our activities will follow four main directions: human capital and skills development, innovation, regional capacity building, and social and cultural development. Furthermore, thanks to the Ulysseus Alliance and its European scope, we see very wide ways in complementary support and enhancement to and from other innovation hubs. We also see digital technologies as transversal challenge, which every innovation hub will deal with. Our role is to be supporter, trainer, educator, enabler, or creator of digital transformation and its inputs into other scientific fields. Process of co-creation of our innovation hub at TUKE stems from the general design presented by Sylvain in the previous topic of this plenary session. We are building the hub on the 7 main pillars: joint and double degrees, joint research center, startup incubator, international projects, mobilities and traineeships, living lab and open classes, and Ulysseus digital platform and Match for COP as support solution for the hub. I need to say that this cross-topic for each of these pillars will be digitalization, digital transformation, and technologies. In the last part of my presentation, I would like to bring few best practices from Technical University of Košice, which pave our belief that we will be successful in co-designing and building of Innovation Hub digitalization within our alliance. H2020 Project MIDI was the crucial point for TUKE's experience in supporting of digital transformation. As one of 23 project partners, we could rely on skilled partners, gain respective know-how from them, and finally, last year, we were able to establish a Digital Innovation Hub Technicum with expertise in the area of IoT and CPS. This hub is fully operational and is built on the portfolio of innovative services from the TUKE ecosystem, like, for example, business acceleration, which will be presented later. The hub is also officially registered in the European Union JRC catalogue of digital innovation hubs. DIH Technicum is currently in the process of transformation to become one of the 200 European digital innovation hubs, a network which is currently being established under the roof of Digital Europe program. Being a part of this network will open new possibilities to enhance Ulysseus' innovative ecosystem and also to transfer knowledge and experience into the Ulysseus Alliance. Presented project create a unique position for launching Ulysseus Innovation Hub Digitalization, in which we want to utilize our experience and align overall scope and direction in line with the strategy of the Alliance. Another part of know-how we have ready for the Ulysseus Alliance is the best practice in business acceleration. Thanks to our detailed two-phase model, we are able to move any idea from the scratch to the market. The model covers the whole pre-incubation and incubation phase of business acceleration. Through a contest, we select the best ideas to stay and evolve as early-stage startups in the TUKE Startup Center. Ideas turn into startups with the help and support from the Acceleration Program and TUKE R&D infrastructure. Passing the evaluation, best startups are awarded for the TUKE Incubator. As legal entities, they are offered more support, being a part of the growth program, and after the final completion of the cycle, they are ready to enter market and provide product and services to their customers. We see this model as very promising for adapting also within the Ulysseus Innovation Hub structure. So the digital transformation is the trend we all need to accept. It brings new horizons and also new challenges for every one of us. We in the Innovation Hub Digitalization at TUKE and the Ulysseus Alliance are ready to stand as the first frontier in the pioneering journey to the digital future. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Viliam, for introducing the subject and pushing the collaboration of the artificial intelligence and digitalization hub further, as we are taking basis as your hub best practices. Our next guest speaker will be introducing the subject about digitalization in Horizon Europe, more specifically the Cluster 4 Digital Industry and Space. Her name is Erika Hlavatá, and she represents the Horizon Europe National Contact Point in Slovakia. Please welcome Erika, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Erika Hlavatá, and I work as a national contact point for Horizon Europe program in Slovakia for area of Cluster 4, Digital Industry and Space. I'm really glad to have the opportunity to share some basic information about the cluster and opportunities in the Horizon Europe program regarding digitalization. I think the clicker, okay. Before moving on to specific information about cluster, it is important to mention some general information at the beginning. For those who have experience with the previous framework program, it is important to realize how the individual thematic areas have moved from Horizon 2020 to Horizon Europe. In the case of Cluster 4, there are 3 areas that belong to the part leading position of industry during Horizon 2020, namely ICT, space, and the third is the area of nanotechnologies, advanced materials, advanced manufacturing and processing, and biotechnology. All of these 3 areas now fall under Cluster 4. The basic document of Cluster 4 is the work program, which covers the period of 2021 and 2022 and contains calls and topics, as well as conditions for participation. In addition to the calls themselves, it is important to study the general introduction and the general annexes. At present, the work program is still not approved. It is only available in a non-binding draft version. For the best possible orientation in the work program, I also recommend to study several other documents, in particular the Horizon Europe Strategic Plan for 2021 to 2024, which defines the strategic focus of investment in research and innovation. And also a draft of model grant agreement to understand the conditions you will commit to if your project proposal is selected for funding. The preliminary budget planned for the Cluster 4 is 15 billion euros, and it's the largest budget within the clusters of Pillar 2. Planned budgets for specific topics and calls are subject to negotiations. Before we move on to the more details of Cluster 4, I would like to make a brief note that the information that will be presented today in the presentation will be subject to change in the future. Many parts of legislation related to the new Horizon Europe program, as well as work programs, have not yet been formally adopted. So the content of this presentation should be seen as preliminary, non-binding, and based on draft documents. The first calls were originally scheduled to open on 15th of April 2021, but didn't open. So we are waiting for the new schedule for the opening of the calls, and it is possible that the deadlines for calls will also change. Based on the work program, Cluster 4 will focus on 6 thematic areas and so-called destinations over the 2 next years. You can see the destination 1 to destination 6 at this slide. The first 2 destinations focus on topics related to industry, and destination 5 focuses on space, but there are also some topics covered by digitalization. We will go fast through these 3 destinations and also cover destinations 3, 4, and 6, which are focused directly on digitalization. Due to the short time and the large number of topics, more than 200 of them, we will go today only through the thematic areas and not exact topics. The first destination includes topics such as green manufacturing, the climate-neutral industry and circular industry, as well as digital manufacturing technologies, waste and CO2, hydrogen and steel. There is also field of laser technology and construction. The thematic areas in these destinations are following: green and flexible and advanced manufacturing, advanced digital technologies for manufacturing, a new way to build, accelerating disruptive change in construction, hubs for circularity, then the thematic area of enabling circularity of resources in the process industries, including waste and CO2, integration of renewables and electrification in process industry. Within this destination, you can find several different examples of topics that are relevant to the field of digitalization. These are mainly topics related to artificial intelligence, automation, data, and the use of ICT in industry and manufacturing. The second destination has a strong focus on raw materials, green and sustainable materials for the benefit of society, but also focus on value chains and improving the resilience of businesses. Within the second destination, it is possible to find examples of overlaps of various topics that are relevant for the field of digitalization. This link to digitalization occurs mainly in topics related to data and databases, as well as in the various uses of digitalization and digital technologies connected to topics concerning materials and raw materials. Now we are continuing with two destinations that are focused on digital. Destination 3 with a title World Leading Data and Computing Technologies, which focuses mainly on data, AI, cloud, and IoT. You can see three thematic areas in this destination: data sharing in the common European data space, then strengthening Europe's data analytics capacity, and from cloud to edge to Internet of Things for European data. The last destination is mainly focused on digital, and its title is a human-centered and ethical. Okay, I have slipped the slide. Okay, sorry. The slide 8, the previous slide, and the previous. Thank you. Okay. So the next slide, there was some disruption. Please, next slide. Okay, thank you. This one. Destination 5 is focused on space, targeting areas of access and use space systems, space weather, business in space sector, and ground infrastructure. You can see the thematic areas. And when it comes to overlap with digital, you can find several topics here related to artificial intelligence, high-performance computing, quantum applications of digital age, and smart mobility. Now, the last destination slide, please, is focused on digital. And its title is a human-centered and ethical development of digital and industrial technologies. Areas are relevant to these destinations. Are in artificial intelligence, robotics, data, internet, and extended reality. And the thematic areas are focused on leadership in AI based on trust, and internet of trust, extended reality, and systemic approaches to make the most of technologies within society and industry. As a part of work program, you may notice mentions on some topics that the topic is implemented with one of the European partnerships. European partnerships are initiatives in which the EU, together with private and public partners, commit to jointly support the development and implementation of program of research and innovation activities. Then partnerships are linked to the theme of Cluster 4, which is divided between institutionalized partnerships and co-program partnerships. At present, these partnerships are being formed, and only initial drafts are available on how this partnership should work and how it should be thematically focused. The most relevant for digitalization are AI, data and robotics made in Europe, high-performance computing, key digital technologies, smart network, and services. Now, shortly, let's discuss digitalization outside of Cluster 4. We will focus here on complementarities with other clusters. that are defined in strategic plan, but also to European Institute of Innovation and Technology, namely its knowledge and innovation communities, EIT manufacturing, EIT digital, and EIT raw materials. Each of the KICs has a separate internal structure and announces its own calls for proposals. They are partnership organizations, so it is important that you look at the specific conditions for participation of each call to understand if only KIC EIT partners are eligible or if external organizations are invited to participate on the call. All of these three EIT KICs are connected with digitalization, but the EIT digital is especially relevant. Here you can see the main thematic areas of EIT KICs. EIT manufacturing is focused on 4 flagships. Flexible production systems for competitive manufacturing, low environmental footprint systems, and circular economy for green manufacturing, and digital and collaborative solutions for innovative manufacturing ecosystems, and human-machine co-working for socially sustainable manufacturing. EIT Digital focuses on 5 thematic areas, namely digital tech, digital cities, and digital industry, which are most relevant for the theme of the cluster 4. In the 6 EIT raw materials thematic areas, you cannot see explicitly digitalization, but its application can be found in the most of the relevant areas. As digitalization has strong connection to almost all areas, we will explore examples of thematic links with other clusters, mainly where digital comes to focus the most. Firstly, complementarities with cluster 1, health. According to strategic plan, following complementaries are expected. The 7 sustainable material system, zero polluting industries, leading European AI based on trust, robotics, advanced materials for health, data sharing in common European data spaces. Now we move to complementaries with cluster 2, cultural creativity and inclusive society. Examples of complementarities can be found in areas Internet of Trust and human-machine interactions, data sharing and data analytics, future of work and skills, and activities for manufacturing. And in the cluster 3, the cluster 3 has strong focus on cybersecurity and security. You can find several possible complementarities. For example, digital technologies for trust and sovereignty, data sharing in the common European data space, leading European AI based on trust, and digital solutions for disaster risk assessment. Within cluster 6, food, bioeconomy, natural resources, and agriculture, the possible complementarities can be found in activities in low carbon and clean industries, circular industries in circularity by design, raw materials and advanced materials, key digital components, data, AI, robotics, and for the overall complementarities, we can find complementarities in every other cluster in 3 main areas: applications of emerging enabling technologies, metrology, and art-driven use experiments and design. So I hope you found this presentation helpful and inspire you to look into the topics of the upcoming calls. If you need more information about Horizon Europe, you can contact your local NCP. The list of national contact points is on the website of European Commission, or you can find the local NCP for ICT area at the website of Idealist NCP network. So thank you very much for your attention and have a nice rest of the afternoon.
Thank you, Erika. It was amazing presentation, as this is a very relevant topic for the innovation hubs, as we are looking for the Horizon Europe calls when they are going to be published, and we can take a look deeper into the subjects we are going to apply with the innovation hubs I was presented this morning. Our next speaker is also from the Horizon Europe contact point in Slovakia. His name is Ivan Filus, and he will speak about digitalization supported by the European Innovation Council and Cascade funding. Please welcome Ivan, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everybody. My name is Ivan Filus. I work as a national contact point for European Innovation Council and the European Innovation Ecosystem, and I'm also coordinating Enterprise Europe Network from administrative point of view in Slovakia. So I will continue where when Erika stopped, maybe, and I will focus more on the market, more close to the market actions of Horizon 2020. So you have heard quite a lot about the Pillar 2 and the possibilities that you have here, and I will focus more on the Pillar 3, where we have a European Innovation Council. Just the main difference between what Erika has just presented is that we already have the work program approved, and the first calls were launched already at the beginning of April. And the first more than 1,000 projects were already submitted to the EIC. The second quite big difference is that we have a lot of so-called bottom-up approaches here. So although there are some themes that are pre-descriptive by the European Commission, the most of the calls are open for any ideas that is very innovative and has a market potential. And third main difference is that while in the pillars and in some other parts of the program, Horizon Europe, you have mostly cooperative projects. It means that you have to build a consortium to apply for a grant. We have a lot of individual or so-called mono-beneficiaries projects here, so you don't need any partnership. So let's focus now on European Innovation Council, which is becoming a body or an agency or a part of European Union with a budget, European Commission with a budget of more than 10 billion euros that is trying to support innovation with a breakthrough and market creating potential. What is EIC all about? EIC is trying to create a one-stop shop for all the innovators from very early stages of development, including the even scientific breakthrough basic research until the introduction into the market. For all these schemes, or I mean, for all these different stages of development, European Commission has prepared three main schemes: Pathfinder, Transition, and Accelerator. The first one, Pathfinder, is built on the future and emerging technologies. Maybe you have heard about this from previous framework programs, and this is focused on the coming from the basic research and creating the new products and technologies based on the basic or applied research. If you are familiar with so-called technology readiness level, so this is ending with the technology readiness level up to 4 or 5. Then some projects already funded before in the previous framework program may request for the transition. And really, this is very closed club, so I will not tackle this in my presentation. But the rest of my first part of presentation, I will speak about the EIC Accelerator, which is one of the largest public funding for technology-based startups. And EIC is not only about the money. This is the part of the story is that the company needs some advice. And usually this is very crucial, especially for early startups or spin-offs from the universities. So EIC is also providing the access to so-called acceleration services, and not only to expertise, but also access to investors, because this is usually very important part of going from the laboratory to the market. So the companies need the financing, and once the so-called the value of that is overcome, usually using some grants, the other investors may step in the later phases. So now I will have a couple of slides focused on EIC Accelerator. As I mentioned, this is one of the largest initiatives for startups or scale-ups with very high expected impact and potential to create new markets. Only for this year, the EIC Accelerator has a budget of 1.1 billion euros, so it's a really huge amount of money, and it is trying to support the radical innovation based on so-called deep tech, so based on the previous research or technology development done in the organization. And the organization, the companies, the startups are supported on the way to the market. And this means that a company has to prove that their technology, their products are functioning, and usually they need to run some validation pilots with their customers. So and EIC is looking for really the companies with very, very ambitious growth plans, and is expecting that at the end of the day, at the end of the program, we'll have new technology unicorns in Europe, also due to funding from EIC Accelerator. And at the same time, the Commission is looking for a risky project. It means that those companies that are applying for EIC Accelerator are not able to get funding in the private market because their projects are simply too risky. And the riskiness may be connected with the development stage, or with the fact that the solution has not been proven with the final customer, or the customers are not paying yet to the company. So who are the beneficiaries? So these are the individual companies. This is very important. So there are no need to have consortia here. Only individual companies may request funding, and these companies are usually startups at very early stages. About the half of the participants so far was up to 10 employees, and with very, very low turnover so far. But in exceptional cases, also the small mid caps, it means also the larger companies, up to 500 employees may request funding, but not in a grant form, but only as an investment. The call was launched already in March, and it is continuously open call. So any startup that would like to get funding may submit it at any time. And the European Commission is providing the results of the evaluation within 4 weeks after the submission. And if the submission is approved, so the company may go to the next stage and then go to the pitching. So as I mentioned, that this is mainly bottom up, but we have also so-called strategic challenges. And these are the strategic challenges that are focused on digital technologies. We have here advanced high-performance computing, edge computing, quantum technologies, cybersecurity, AI, blockchain, cloud, and IoT. What can the startup receive? It is the most of the companies are expected to be funded through so-called blended finance. This is a combination of grant, which is up to 2.5 million euros, and equity up to 15 million euros. So in total, it may be up to 17.5 million euros for from prototype successful introduction into the market. But also maybe the other options like grant only, but take this only as an exception. So this was EIC Accelerator, but what we have as a funding for usually startups, but also for the research team, is so-called Cascade granting. We know it also as a Cascade funding, or the competitive calls, or financial support to the third parties. They all mean the same thing. What is this all about? Usually the startups or the small teams or smaller companies have difficulty to access these big programs because they're usually very ambitious and they need consortia and so. So European Union came with this Cascade funding to open up the program also for the smaller participants for the smaller projects. They are run by several projects. So far, we have maybe 50 such projects that are providing the funding for the third parties. So far, we have about 800 millions in this, and I will show you on the next slide how does it work. European Commission is providing the funding to the coordinator of one of those 50 or so Cascade projects, and this project is opening the calls for proposal for the small project. For a small project means from 20 to 200,000 euros usually, and the project itself is running the calls, it's making the evaluation and contracting and implementation of the project. So you may also understand this as a subcontracting of this smaller project from the European Commission to the Cascade funds. What is being funded from the Cascade grant? So these are pilots, demonstration, or experiments. So the companies may prove that their technology or framework really works. The companies may also receive the acceleration, incubation, and mentoring. But also there are some projects that started without the full partnership, and they may integrate more participants, usually startups, or the final beneficiaries or the users during the course of the project. And why those Cascade funding are so brilliant? Usually comparing to other funding scheme, and especially EIC Accelerator, they are less known, and it means they are also less competitive. While in the last call of EIC Accelerator, we had the success rate about 1%. With the Cascade grants, we can say that there is the average success rate about 15 to 20%, which is quite good. The application is simple and shorter than you compare to the Pillar 2 project. Usually, there's only a couple of pages and really very short evaluation period, and also the projects are quite shorter in implementation, usually up to 1 year. There is no need. Usually, there is no need for three country participation. In a lot of cases, the company may apply, or the research team may apply by themselves. But still, the funding is quite interesting. It may be from 20 to up to 2 or even 300,000 euros for a project. But it is very important to underline that each project has their specific rules. So if you are interested in this type of funding, please read carefully the type of grants, what the projects are requesting, and what are the conditions for even partnering or some details in implementation of the project. Where you can find the information about the calls, of course, each project has a website with the detailed information, but you can find so-called competitive call section at the funding and tender opportunity portal, which is the one-stop shop for all grant funding from the European Commission. But also you can find some Cascade granting also under digital innovation hubs. Also Digital Innovation Hub, and also already mentioned European Institute of Technology are those initiatives are also providing the calls for Cascade funding for startups. And this is an example of the project. There's more than 10 projects funded under the initiative of Next Generation Internet, which has been launched by the European Commission. And as you can see from the figures here, there's already more than 500 innovators that are supported as a third parties from 36 countries. So if you are interested in any type of next generation internet, from blockchain via platform or any other methodologies or systems that may be beneficial for next generation of internet, so ngi.eu may be your resource. Okay, and that's it. I hope that also based on Erika and my presentation, you have received quite a lot of information about Horizon Europe, and please contact your national contact point in your country, or I think we are at disposal for any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Ivan, for this presentation. Very nicely done, and it's very, very important for Ulysseus and the innovation hubs. As we are approaching the end of the session, we are about 10 minutes short in time. So please, the next speakers, if you can condense your subjects a little bit just to make room for having some time at the end. So our next speaker is Harri Alamäki. He's the Innovation Hub coordinator for the AI Innovation Hub. He represents Haaga-Helia in Finland. So welcome, Harri, and the floor is yours.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. And my name is Harri Alamäki. I'm from Haaga-Helia, Finland. And as Andres told you, so I'm working as Innovation Hub coordinator and also currently here Haaga-Helia research area director, and also I'm adjunct professor. So my presentation is about AI Hub, and also I will tell a little bit what we have done in this field in previous. So this AI Hub it's about EU proposals. So we aims to build EU projects. Also, we will work on higher education, especially joint courses and joint programs. And also, the third area is that we will build, and we are building an industry-university relationship through kind of business activities, R&D cooperation with companies, and living lab and startup creation. And we aim to solve different challenges in business and education, and especially also related to society by using AI solutions. So this picture tells about that when we think about the AI Hub, so we have technology perspective and business and education perspective. So we are working with different AI technologies and domains, like machine learning solutions are maybe the biggest area, and natural language processing, that is the text-based analytics. Also, we are using AI tools and platforms, and also we do things. We help businesses like to build business models, business development, value chains, value propositions, and so on related to AI. And also the ethics of AI and those human AI interaction are important. So this slide shows us that we are combining AI technologies to different challenges like educational challenge, environmental, business, society related challenges. And we can build solutions for example, new business or pedagogical models that benefit from AI, or we can recognize opportunities. We can build tools, prototypes, demos, proof of concepts. Also, we can create the guidelines, methods, practices. And this human AI interaction is one of the most important resource field that we have done and where we are working on. So I will show very quickly one example project. That's the basic idea here is that we work very closely with the companies, with 6 companies. And also we had 3 universities from Finland and 3 international universities. So the aim was to combine like a big data technologies and AI technologies to new business opportunities. And what we did, so we had several sub projects, and also we published totally over 60 publications, maybe to 20-30 paper reviewed articles as well. So those are examples of what we have done and what we can do in AI Hub in this Ulysseus Alliance, that we can model business roles, value co-creation mechanisms, and challenges of data-driven business ecosystem perspectives. Also, we built a big data-based system, and we use that for social media, big data analytics. And also we have used machine learning and big data for looking at the new and unfamiliar international markets, what kind of market opportunities there are, like in the Asian market. And also we have had a project about the chat data where we analyzed and modeled chat discussion by using machine learning and deep learning methods. And also we have done, for example, like the privacy is a very big challenge, and it is related to ethics and those things. So we have research on like how anonymization affects to machine learning capabilities. And the different types of behavioral analytics is very well fits this area. And also we are able to create the new business concepts, and of course different service and interviews, different research methods are also a natural part of this AI Hub area. And also it's possible to do, like we have done a field study of one AI-based application. So as this time is running out, so I think I have presented the most important thing in this my presentation. So thank you for everybody.
Thank you, Harri. It's a great pleasure to work with you and to build this Innovation Hub together, as I'm the AI Innovation Hub officer. So all these subjects are interlinked and interconnected, also with the other Innovation Hubs. So our next speaker is part of the associated partners that we have in Ulysseus. It's a pleasure to introduce Harri Ketamo. He represents Head AI company, and he will be talking about artificial intelligence and education. Please remember, Harri, we are short in time. If you can squeeze a little bit your presentation, will be great. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Andres. Good afternoon, everyone. Great to be talking here. And yes, I try to be a bit faster. Headai research-driven tech company, and it's happy to be that we are selected one of the associated partners for Ulysseus. And basically, what we do is predictive text analytics. We are working in the areas of human capital, financial, medical, and defense. And today we are focusing on human capital. And well, in education sector, it's about human capital. But why it is challenging, and what kind of things we can bring in? Well, first of all, we are dealing with text, written or spoken natural language, which means that there are not only different languages, but the cultural differences inside the language are even greater. Like Python, for biologist, Python is a snake. For programmer, Python is programming language. And for those interested in culture, it might refer to Monty Python, the comedian group from UK. So the single word doesn't mean nothing. And most often when dealing with written or spoken natural language, people are using different words for the same purpose. So that's why we are computing with meanings. But that's not all. In fact, we have different file formats, different ontologies, like in Europe we use ESCO. In United States they use ONET. And there are tens of other ontologies. Ontologies are just the top of the iceberg. There are different learning standards and different HR standards related to human capital. So there is a whole lot of mess around this. Languages, cultural differences, file formats, learning standards, ontologies, HR standards. And the biggest thing is that the data is not in the one place. The data is in files, maybe controlled way, but most often in silos, in different places. And that's why we need not system level integration, but meaning type of integration. And that's where when we come in. So bringing meanings into text, and then we can compare everything by the meanings. And our approach is that, first of all, we have to understand the data. So we call it mapping. It's building knowledge graph on real time. So namely, machine can build an understanding about the core concepts, how they are related in the document, what other relevant concepts are in the document, and then the most difficult part, bringing all the words, all the neighborhoods, all the connectors that are not in the document. That's mapping. When we have built this mind map or knowledge graph, how we want to call it, we can do different kind of comparing analysis, like gap analysis, scorecards, other analytics. But let's go them in details. Here. One mind map could be from one job ad, one course, one news, one scientific paper. And when it is mind map, we can just start to add different mind maps together, and we can get mind map about skills neighborhood around software development. And in this slide, the noticeable thing is that there is a lot of communication type of skills around software industry. But that's from the data. When we are adding together even more job ads, we can provide this kind of analytics, like what is the skills demand in software industry in Helsinki in autumn 2020. So a snapshot on some time, on some location. And when we have several snapshots, we can start to compare like how Helsinki's ICT skills demand is different to Göteborg. In this map, the yellow are the same, green is Helsinki demand that is not in Göteborg, red is Göteborg demand not in Helsinki. And there is explanations on everything. We can dive deeper into data and find explanations why there are that much skills demand in Helsinki that is not in Göteborg. And that's namely because of Nokia's legacy, while in Göteborg there is medical and heavy industries. But in context of Ulysseus educational alliances, we have done a lot of work with Helsinki metropolitan area universities of applied sciences like Haaga-Helia. And this is about mapping, where we compare that how degree programs can use their courses and modules in more effective way. So how they are similar, how they are different, can some module can be replaced with another, what kind of modules we might need in order to better serve the labor market. With World Bank, we did exactly similar kind of activities in Africa side. So finding in machine learning way, what is the skills demand in different cities in Africa, comparing the regional schools, the curriculums, how they are going to provide the skills that are demanded in labor market, and what most important, showing where there is a gap and how to fill the gap. Because, well, students get employed better when they have skills that are demanded in labor market. But coming back to mapping, scorecard. We were talking about job ads. Job ads can't predict too far to the future because job ads are looking past. But now we are talking about Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations goals for 2030. And those are really interesting because they can be key performance indicators for degree programs, like we have done with the metropolitan area university. Since we have the technologies, how they can compare every degree program to United Nations goals and do immediate actions, run simulations, how the improvements in curriculum takes place and how the curriculums after the improvements are more aligned with Sustainable Development Goals. And this can really be like key performance indicator, not just some number somewhere, but really showing the direction for development. Compass is more for students. The idea of Compass is show the zone of proximal development. For example, with Finnish Defence Forces, we have activities in Finland. We have universal military service. So when a person goes back to civilian, the person gets all the skills he or she got during the service and can apply for future education, further education with those skills. So namely, if someone has done the leadership training program, that many does, all the skills are modeled in really detailed way. They are in XAPI format, so the receiving university can immediately check that what kind of skills the person has got during the service, and maybe then recognize what skills already done, so you don't have to do those courses. Speed up. And the beauty is that when we are processing with the meanings, we are not leaking any military secrets. Everything we process is converted to labor market and education language. So this is one of the benefits. So we are also not only bringing the language together, but make it possible to process also slightly confidential materials. But this is also for adaptive learning. Like when you have done something, what you should do next. Because if you have learned diluting liquids in mathematics, why study it in clinical calculations? Or we can provide automated testing because the knowledge graph is there, running tests is really fast. Finally, we can help teachers or students connecting relevant and new content, for example, news, to any course, any topic, any curriculum. All that in automated way because meanings. And finally, the binoculars. The idea of predictive analytics is to give insights into the future. And now when we have ability to mind map very complex topics like what is the demand in software industry, we can also show different kind of predictions like what it might be based on job ads, the trending, based on research data, what might be the most trending skills, or based on technology news, economic news. So take different kind of predictors to show what might be the future based on some material. And no matter if it is maps or line plots or traditional bar charts, but the idea is like showing the data. And want to highlight, all we do is for people. So we don't build machines to make decisions or show the reality. We make all the technology to support people in decision making. No matter if it is a student taking a next course or figuring out what kind of skills I should get. Decision support. Or teacher wanted to have the newest articles for his or her course. Or the school, university want to make better degree programs in terms of sustainable development goals. And these all are based on written or spoken natural language, which is very difficult to analyze without understanding the meanings, because of the single word means pretty much nothing. You need to know the context in order to do analysis for natural language. So thank you for listening. Happy to be part of Ulysseus, ready to cooperate for you. Thanks.
Thank you, Harri, for this presentation and for introducing Headai for all people who are watching us. Our final speaker is Charles Viveron. He will speak about artificial intelligence applied to health and smart territory. He represents the 3AI Institute in France. So welcome, and the floor is yours, Charles.
Hello everyone, my name is Charles Bouveron. I am a professor at Université Côte d'Azur, and I am the director of the Institut 3IA Côte d'Azur, which is one of the 4 national institutes in France about AI. So next slide. So could you go to next slide, please? Excellent. So it's, of course, you probably all know the postcard of Côte d'Azur, but it's also a very nice site for research, because we have the strongest institute on research, for instance, the CNRS, INRIA, the Observatoire de la Côte d'Azur, on the hospital, and many also engineer schools. And thanks to this, we were able to build a very nice project for this institute. Next slide. So it's a very large ecosystem. So we have, of course, a very strong team of researchers, but we also have a very strong company with R&D department that are really on the top level in terms of AI. And thanks to this ecosystem, we got several grants that you can see on next slide. So in fact, we started in 2012 with the first label, which was very important, and then we got the IDEX JEDI, which is for French university, also a very specific label. And thanks to this, we were able to build this story, and the application for the 3IA Côte d'Azur Institute was quite natural, and we got one of the 4 slots that were awarded by an international jury. So on next slide, you will be able to see, let's say, a summary of what we have. So we have several partners. So of course, Université Côte d'Azur is managing the project, but we also have INRIA, CNRS, Eurecom, INSERM, and MinParisTech and Schema that are part of the team. And thanks to this, we were able to, of course, work on a very top-level research. We are also working on another pillar, which is the relationship with company and the transfer of technologies to companies. And we also have another important pillar, which is about education, because we have the goal, the objective to train at least to double the number of trained students in AI in the 4 years. So then on the next slide, you will be able to see the ecosystem that we have at Université Côte d'Azur. Yes, exactly. Thank you. So of course we have the institute, but the institute is not alone on the territory. We have a lot of academic partners, but we also have companies. We have large company, but also very small startups company. We also have, the local authorities that are very involved in this story, in this adventure. With for instance, created a house of AI in order to help the general public to be acclimated to this new technology, and we have other partners. And thanks to this, we have let's say a vibrant ecosystem. So the next slide will just present shortly the team, but I think we can skip the 4 next slide and go on slide 12, please. And on slide 12, you can see that we also created a label Troisième Côte d'Azur, which is very important for the company and the training programs that we create to let's say just advertise that they are related to the Troisième Côte d'Azur. So it's a way to ensure that the programs that we create, the project, the research project, are very well aligned with the program of the institute. So it's something that people care about, and I think it's a very good point. On slide 14, you will have a summary of the budget. So it's a budget of 15 million euros for the first 4 years, and a third, in fact, is coming from the French government, and the rest is provided by for a part from the academic institution, but also for companies. So we really rely on companies for the funding. And at this point, so we are about to be at the half of the project of the first 4 years. This part is very here, so it's a very good signal for us. So perhaps just on slide 17, you will have a very high summary of what we do as a research. So the research program of the Institute is divided in 4 axes. We have, of course, a very strong axis on the core elements, methods, model, algorithm of AI. And then we have 3 applicative axes. The first one is about computational medicine. We have another application axis on computational biology. And the last one is very interesting for the territory of Nice, is AI for smart and secure territories, because we have both large cities like Nice, Cannes, but we also have a territory which is very wide in terms that we have, of course, the sea, but also mountains. So we try to help AI to benefit to everyone. So then we can perhaps skip to just the slide 17 to 27, sorry, to just say that it's a really a project where the companies are involved. We have more than 62 companies that are associated with the project, and it's something which is very important for us. It's one of the objectives, and we are working with them to develop R&D in the companies about AI, and also develop research projects in collaboration with companies. And it's also important for education, because, of course, if we would like to provide the future engineers in AI for those companies, we work hand by hand in this path. So thank you very much, and of course I'm very happy to participate in this new university. I'm sure that the institute will be, of course, a nice stone in this ecosystem. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As we approach the end of our session, thank you for all the speakers, your valuable inputs in all your presentations. Your added value as a guest speakers is very, very important for us, for the Alliance, and for the Innovation Hubs, which is the subject of this session. For all our audience, which is watching now in live in YouTube and other social media, in the next following hour, according to your time zones, we will be starting 4 parallel sessions. Please join through the B2Match platform. as this session will close soon. And thank you for joining Ulysseus and getting to know our innovation hubs and our universities. Thank you so much for your guest speakers, and see you next time.